Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Well, you had to wait an extra week, but you know what? Waiting for Thirsty Thursday Sense and Nonsense is certainly something that is worth doing. Very much worth doing. So here we are, post-election, the rest of our lives to live, no matter what you think of what went on. We move on, we think, and we talk about a wide variety of things. Always here on Thirsty Thursdays, I have a wonderful Prost Pilsner in my hand, ready to take my first sip. Joe has a murky brown drink of some sort. I think there's some beer involved. I think there's some whiskey involved. I think there's a lot of things involved there. I don't know. There's a little foamy head, so I figured there was a little bit of beer there. No, just whiskey. Huh? Well, there's cola. Okay, there's some kind of cola drink, as the Kinks would say. C-O-L-A cola in the real version, not the 45 version from back in the day. But anyway, that meandering is exactly what we do here, and we start off with the fact check, and Joe actually has it typed out this week. So who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows. I'm a big fan of old-time radio, by the way, and the original Shadow was who on the radio? Orson Welles, one of the greatest performers in the history of performing and on the radio. Absolutely stunning, wonderful voice. So, yeah, Sirius 147, I believe, is old-time radio, if you care about that. I do. It's on one of my presets. There you go. That's not what I'm sure we're going to be talking about today on Thirsty Thursday Sense and Nonsense, and it starts up next. It's time now to get some great assistance on healthcare with Chad Beisel from NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com. And Chad, even your business's name would indicate that you have a real aggressive way and an important way to go after some health insurance for your clients.
What I've found out in the industry is just a lot of people are really confused. They don't know what plans are good, what their plans offer, how they cover. And so I've just taken the approach of being really educated on what options are available to clients and showing them all the options that are available and making sure they understand them so they can pick and choose what options are good for them.
And one thing that's really important, of course, is access to doctors and hospitals.
Absolutely. That's become a big issue for a lot of people. Some of the plans out there are going to restrict those clients to where they can and cannot go. So if you live just outside the Kansas City metro, some of the counties outside, you may not be able to go to some of the hospitals up here in the Kansas City area. So making sure that you have a plan that's got doctors and hospitals and places you want to go is really, really important today.
Learn more by visiting NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com and let Chad help you. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised amazed where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson and Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
All right, Danny. We're back with the fact check. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. My world is all sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows.
Well, I'm going to start by taking my beating here. I'm going to give up the point on the TV in the 30s and 40s, okay?
There you go. Thank you.
All right, so Nielsen ratings started in 1950, okay? And the Nielsen Corporation is fascinating, by the way. They did all sorts of things. Like, they were one of the first businesses to ever use a computer, like in the 50s, like these tube computers or something. Like, it was wild. Anyway, so throughout the 1930s...
The 538 of their day.
Yeah, using analytics. So throughout the 30s, the president of the Radio Corporation of America, he started to develop television, okay? In 1937, 17 experimental television sets emerged, okay? So,
yes.
Yeah. And then it looked like it was steamrolling to take over the media until World War II came, and they had to stop because of the rationing and everything, and that's why it pushed off till the 50s. So
I will say this, that we have rewatched an outstanding under-the-radar movie that Peter O'Toole was actually nominated for an Academy Award for, called My Favorite Year. And it is about, basically, it's based directly on Your Show of Shows with Sid Caesar. And that entire line of writers, including Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner, and it's set in the 1950s. And this show was done in 1954. And by that point, shows like Your Show of Shows were taking over as the most popular things on television.
yeah, it said in 1950. That was the height of the print media in the United States. So, like, it was all downhill from there, and that's because television started to take over.
And probably a lot of that at that time there was a lot of news. It was Joe McCarthy right then.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
A lot of stuff like that. So people still relied on the newspaper. People still like the newspaper. We just saw, for instance, another evidence of what goes on in the print media now. The Kansas City Star is moving all of their employees out of that beautiful building in downtown Kansas City.
Really?
Yep. And they are going to go to some, because the place has been a ghost town now for a while. Most people are working remotely. And even before that, it was way too big for, it was basically just built like a gigantic, ostentatious house that you built in 2007.
Yeah. I've never been in there.
I have. It's an unbelievably monstrous.
So what are they going to do with all of that square footage?
They're going to outsource. Well, they've already sold. They already sold the building and they've been leasing it back.
Oh.
The actual print product is going to go to the Des Moines Register.
They're going to print it in Des Moines?
Apparently, yes. I don't know how you print a newspaper now. Maybe maybe they do the electronics there, and then actually the print copy comes out here.
Because can't you see it moving in that thing
I've never
downtown?
been in that part of the building. I don't even know anymore if that's the way it works.
Man, we
The
watched.
most amazing thing is when you see the old time way they used to print a newspaper, where they individually put each piece of basically what looks like a little thing on a manual typewriter, and construct a newspaper. It's remarkable that it even ever got done.
We watched All the President's Men the other night because my wife had never seen it. Fantastic movie, right?
One of the greatest movies ever made.
I agree on that. Actually,
we've talked about it. I will say this as a diversion. I actually wrote recently, 3 months ago maybe, a blog about All the President's Men, but it was more about watching a movie in a movie theater or in a dark room.
Okay.
Because All the President's Men was my major example for that. Because when you watch the juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the sound was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But then the juxtaposition of dark and light. When they would have the scenes with Deep Throat in the parking garage,
Yeah.
and then the next scene would be in the newsroom,
And it's
which
just
was glaring light.
bright, and just the sound would just hit you in the face. Yeah, it was great. We tried to watch it in the just in the bedroom TV or whatever.
Right.
It just doesn't work. Like we had to put it on the big TV with the speakers and everything. Because it's weird because you think mostly of like an action movie, you need the sound and all of that. There's no action in that movie at all. No. I mean, there's almost no action, and yet it is so intense and so suspenseful. It's so well done, and it was only like 3 or 4 years after.
Yeah, they put it out
quick,
really fast.
Right?
Robert Redford was the executive producer of that, and the cast is just stupefyingly good.
Yeah, so good.
One A-list actor after another, or some person you've seen in 1,000 movies.
Yeah, a lot of actors that went on to be in a million things for sure. Well, okay, back to our TV thing. They couldn't make them in the 40s due to rationing, and you had talked about rationing going on for 10 years in this country. On the last podcast, there was never 10 years of rationing.
5 years.
Well,
Did I say 10?
You said 10.
I just meant people's patience, so I meant the war.
Yes, so the 40 to 45, and then there was also rationing in World War I, and they had some great slogans. Food will win the war, meatless meals, and wheatless Wednesdays. Right? Yes. I thought those were pretty good. So you talked about last time about basketball jersey stirrups.
Yes.
Okay.
I said I thought that they looked silly for wear 2 games by a fan.
Yeah, but a stirrup is a light frame or ring that holds the foot of a rider, attached to the saddle by a strap, often called a stirrup leather.
Well, what do you call those? That's what they look like to me. The wife beaters.
I understand. And see, here's the weird part about it. I totally understood what you were saying.
But I wasn't right.
But you weren't right at all about how you use that word.
No, I don't know.
So isn't it funny about
there's a word for it, and it isn't coming to me. And people out there are no doubt throwing their phone.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, but isn't that funny about language? Like you were completely wrong.
Right.
But I knew exactly what you were talking about, right?
Well, I have always been known as a person with a good vocabulary to a fault.
Humble brag.
And people would actually, it was the butt of jokes. And I mean, this was even in high school and things.
I have caught crap for it as well.
So, but through my entire life until I think my junior year of college, when I looked at the word misled, I read it as
misled.
But I knew what it meant. I thought you were being misled, as of course is what the word is. I thought you were being misled.
Nice.
And
getting
but
shamrocked
I
and
high-hoed. Misled in spoken language, but when I read it, I looked at that, and then one day I'm like, oh, 20-year-old Danny, that's misled.
You know the worst part about having a good vocabulary is when you screw something up, everybody points it out.
Sure.
Like one time
stirrups.
Yeah, exactly. One time in a meeting early on in my career, I used the word trepidatious,
right?
Which is not a word. Trepidation is a word,
right?
But trepidatious is not a word. And I caught all kinds of crap. And they looked it up, and it wasn't a word, because if you use big words, you better get them right. Right, and I suppose that's the burden you have to bear.
Well, one time, the president of my company, when I worked for Union Broadcasting, he just sidled by and gave me a little book, a little hardcover book, and it was called The Superior Person's Book of Words. And all it is a bunch of fancy words. And
very good.
And I never use words, big words, for effect, except comically. I just use a big word
because it does a better job.
It does a better job, yes. Now, sometimes I'll use a big word for comic effect.
Yeah.
That doesn't do a better job.
Like last time when you said peripatetic, which I did not know. And so I looked that up. Traveling from place to place, in particular working or based in various places for relatively short periods. So I thought that was a pretty good description of this podcast. Because
it's all over the place. It's peripatetic. Yes.
Exactly. Okay, so I looked up Hacker Shore, because we were having some of those beers last time, remember?
Oh, what kind were they?
Hacker Shore or
Okay.
Peshore. It's a brewery in Munich formed in 1972 out of the merger of two breweries, Hacker and Shore. Hacker was founded in 1417.
Wow.
I'm going to try my German out here. That was 99 years before the enactment of the Reinheitsgebot, purity law of 1516, which is, I think they got rid of a bunch of, booze at that time. And as one of the 6 breweries located within Munich's city limits, its beers are among those served at Oktoberfest. So, very famous, at least in Germany. Or in Munich.
Sure.
Speaking of Munich, they
hams
whooped.
of
Yeah.
Munich.
Speaking of Munich, they whooped Dortmund on Saturday. Didn't whoop. They beat Dortmund. Did you watch that?
I did not.
Oh.
I do consume
Der
so
Klassiker.
much soccer, but now it's on. It's a streaming deal.
It's so frustrating.
And I'm not. I get enough soccer, even though I have been peacocked by NBC. They do put enough product on normally.
Yeah.
Now, it also spared me the fact that probably on NBCSN, Aston Villa and Arsenal would have been on. So I was spared the 3-0 thrashing that Aston Villa put on the Gunners.
Well, Dortmund was down 3-1 at, Bayern scored again in like the 80th minute. And I just got up, fed up. I watched it with my daughter. She's a big Dortmund fan. So I got up and went outside to mow or whatever. And my daughter comes running out 1 minute later. Dortmund just got a goal. And I'm like, or no. She comes out and she says, they called that goal off with VAR. We're only down 1. I'm like, okay, I'm coming back inside. And then, chance after chance that they pissed away. Anyway, that's enough German soccer.
There's a soccer for you.
So,
But you got your patty cakes on Sunday.
yes,
Wait,
made me feel much better.
Single-handedly.
He single-handedly won my
the
fantasy game.
Single-handedly won the game, basically. The Chiefs were pretty pedestrian in all areas except for him.
I thought they were playing a coach that had put together a great
I think he's a great
game
coach.
plan. You think great already?
I think he's going to be a great
You do?
coach.
Yeah, I think he's well on his way. I mean, that was a fantastic plan he put together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And he also, and he in concert with his defensive coordinator, they sort of went against what everybody said. They did do a lot of blitzing, but they sort of
disguised it well.
it.
Yeah.
And, said we're not going to do it on this down. We're going to do it on this down.
Well, and you couple that with going for it on 4th down and being aggressive and knowing you're going to need to score 30.
Even though it didn't look like they were going to need to score 30. You talked about this on the Monday football podcast that I do with Stan Weber, Danny and Stan's Football Weekend, shameless plug on Mondays. And you can't have a 10 or 12 minute lapse against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And in the third quarter, they did. If you're going to be good and you're going to put together this, especially if you're not a great team, which the Panthers aren't, it's going to be you're going to have to go 60 with it.
Yeah.
And they couldn't.
But man alive, that was a fun game. I mean, it was fun to watch. It was a good game.
Yeah, and then you saw the difference in having Mahomes. Mahomes would have got his team a game-winning field goal.
Yep.
Plenty of time.
Yep.
The Chiefs, give them credit. They kept the guys in bounds. Poor execution by Carolina. They, in this day and age, especially with a kicker who can kick it that far, that kick was long enough.
It did look long enough, yeah.
So
I was concerned.
be able to get a field goal.
Yeah.
There, sports.
How about that?
Less peripatetic.
Sports sighting. Yeah, but it is also nice to have a defense that doesn't just lay down and die every time you need them to do something. Hey, last time I was burping a lot from that Hacker Shore.
Oh, so the Hacker Shore was the problem.
And you know why?
It's the burping beer. Known as the burping beer.
Okay. It's not just that. I notice it with Beer Co. beer sometimes too, especially when I get it fresh in the
growler.
Okay, and here's why. I found out why. You ready? Many beers are carbonated through a process called forced carbonation. That's your cheaper beers. That's where they shoot carbon dioxide into it, and then when you open it up, that pressurizes it and gives it carbonation. Okay, but more and more with craft beers, they're not doing forced carbonation; they're doing natural, right? And so it's called bottle conditioned. and the natural carbonation is a result of fermentation that's happening inside the bottle.
Aha.
And so it's gassier, right? And it makes you burp more, but it tastes better. Doesn't taste as fake. How about that?
I think that's excellent information.
Yeah, that's right. By God.
That's a good fact check.
Okay, so last fact check. We talked about why is beer more expensive in Kansas?
Yeah, and it had defied just the parameters of taxation in my mind.
Yeah.
Because it was almost, in some cases, double.
And you and I had both said, fact, beer is more expensive in Kansas, right?
Fact.
Incorrect.
What?
Okay. According to WI...
Well, maybe if we go out to Pratt or something.
Oh, no, hold on. So I've got both local and statewide data.
All right.
According to WIBW, Kansas, the average case of beer in Kansas is $16.07. Missouri, it's $17.11. Okay, that's statewide, and that was in 2019.
Yeah, but that covers a wide variety of beers.
It does, but also the tax on beer specifically in Kansas is lower than the tax on beer in Missouri.
I believe that part.
No, lower in Kansas.
Yeah, that's my point. Is there's some shenanigans going on?
Okay, no, listen to this though.
Here,
I think it's anecdotal. I think it's just where we go because.
No, I have never seen like a Bud Ice 6-pack of Tall Boys at $3.99 in Kansas ever. You find it, we'll talk.
Well,
about
I think what we have to do is we have to drive to Leavenworth or KCK. Okay, I think if you went down off of 7th Street Casino down there. Now listen, here's why I'm saying that.
My
I have
experience
facts.
is my experience, and not that I.
That's what I'm saying.
Have this experience? No, I do. I have bought beer in just about every place. I think when you go to some sort of the smaller, out of the way places, they charge a little bit more because they know they got you stuck.
So I also found a thing where the local NPR station did a thing on this, on cigarette and beer prices in the metro.
Okay.
And they found in the metro that it was cheaper in Kansas than it was in Missouri.
Well, I'm missing the boat.
I'm telling you, I'm right there with you.
Danny
I think it's anecdotal.
Cheap beer for Danny. Because I'd prefer to always be drinking a fine Prost, but economy
is important. That's
economy
right.
Calls, especially when you don't swill down a big giant bucket of whiskey to get you rolling.
Easy. This is not a bucket. This is
It's a small pail.
This is a tumbler.
It is. It's a lovely tumbler.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we found it in the cabinet. Somebody left it here. And now it's my favorite tumbler. Isn't that funny how that happens?
That's nice. That's
nice.
Right. My wife's favorite Scotch glass is one of the ones that's a little more rounded. I don't know why that is.
Like a porter glass.
Yeah, no, just
like a brandy
but
glass.
It's not square, like that. You can't call that square, but I mean it's straight down the side.
Mm-hmm.
This is more like sort of the but tumbler sized. No, not like a snifter.
No, not a snifter.
No, not a snifter.
I see her sipping out of a snifter.
No, not a snifter. Not a snifter.
Or not sniffing, or not sipping.
Oh, she definitely sips.
Okay.
She definitely does not swill her Scotch, that's for sure.
I'm going to have some swill right now.
But anyway, the fact check is over. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? That was foreshadowing in my life because my father used to say that all the time, and I knew nothing of old-time radio when I was young. I didn't have satellite radio, so he would always be saying that, and I didn't know that one day I would absolutely kill for a great episode of The Shadow.
Gosh.
With Orson Welles.
You were such an old man.
You can't say somebody's an old man when he likes something that totally predates him.
But it predates you by a smaller amount than most.
Long time. A long time. Orson Welles was doing The Shadow almost 2 decades before I was conceived.
I know you're trying to go to break but I got to tell this story. When I was 14 years old, I got a job, my very first job, cleaning an old folks' home. Okay, so I'd get up at 5 in the morning, and I cleaned a whole wing
I had some bad jobs.
of an old folks home. That's right, and it was I got $3.68 an hour. They could pay me less than minimum wage because I was only 14. Thank you, state of Kansas. Anyway, so I'd get up at like 5, 6 in the morning and go clean this whole wing of this old folks home on Saturdays and Sundays. And all of the old folks listened to Paul Harvey.
Oh, right.
So I'd go room to room listening to Paul Harvey. I became this huge fan of listening to, and that's the rest of the story.
Well, Paul Harvey was a good broadcaster.
He literally read the newspaper. You could hear him like
But he would also weave...
ruffling through the pages.
And, the rest of the story was that he would weave a regular news story into this elaborate tale, which would end with a surprise.
Some sort of parable of some sort about, American exceptionalism.
And he had a wonderful broadcasting voice, and he was a good broadcaster.
I walked into a guy's room one time, and he's sitting there in his chair, and he's mad. And he was always mad. I said, Gerald, how are you? He says, I took a shit in the closet, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Wow. And that's the rest of the story.
And I was like, well, Gerald? And I'm just mopping my way out of the room like, okay, I'll see you later. I'm not cleaning the closet. I'm not opening that door.
I don't have to.
14-year-old Joe is not opening that door.
Right. That must have happened after I left. All right, now we are going to break on that shit story. And that is the rest of the story for now, and the rest of this story comes up next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from WreckExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident. From David Cowan, visit WreckExpert.com and learn more.
Hi, everybody. This is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. I just want to thank everybody for supporting local restaurants during this time of uncertainty. 23rd Street Brewery is now open until this pandemic is over. And right now, more than anything, local restaurants need your help and support. Come on out and see us. 23rd Street Brewery is open now from 11:30 till 9 o'clock for dine-in and carry-out. Whatever we can do to help you out, maybe with your catering needs, too. I appreciate all the support, and thank you for continuing to shop local.
Firsthand, I have enjoyed the benefits of the CBD products from Canaway. My back feels better and better these days, as a major part of my routine are the pain-relieving salve and the pure gold oil. And recently I had the pleasure of a treatment session using the Canaway CBD in conjunction with the Microlight 830 cold laser. The non-invasive treatment session worked wonders, and I could barely tell I was even being touched. TML 830 is the first 3B cold laser to get FDA approval, and in addition, the combination treatment with CBD is patent pending. The new smart laser is the only hands-free cold laser in the world and is used by athletic trainers, chiropractors, MDs, physical therapists, and veterinarians everywhere. You can learn more about all the great benefits from the complete line of Canaway CBD products by contacting my friend Sherry McCants at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312 to get outstanding information about Canaway. It's time to visit once again with Dr. Brad Woodle of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. And Dr. Brad, your group has reached a significant milestone in receiving a prestigious award.
Danny, we've been honored for the 10th year in a row to receive the 5-Star Service Award from Integrity Doctors. And what this means is that all of our offices throughout Kansas City have made sure to give people excellent chiropractic and acupuncture care, be on time, and do a very complete and thorough job, and have great responses back from patients.
I know firsthand because I was just treated, for instance, today by you. You have a wide range of fantastic services.
Absolutely. Chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapies, rehab, anything that you need to keep you well in bones, muscles, joints, and nerves.
And I can't say how much it's benefited me in the time I've coming here. Upwards of 2 years, my back has improved 100%. And you can have that same kind of treatment too. For more information and your chance for a healthier way of life, visit asfca.com/Danny today. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Welcome back. I have to really give it a go here on the beer that I have in my hand. Weihenstephaner? Or maybe they just shorten those two syllables at the beginning and it's to Weihenstephaner?
Let me see it. I think it would be...
It's Weihenstephaner. So it could be...
Weihnachten?
Could be 5 syllables, but we could also mush it together. But there's a sort of Weihen... You could make that 2. Anyway, this is bad podcasting because people can't see the beer. Anyway, it's time for the first sip of this particular one. Savor it.
Yes, always with the eyes closed.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I made the right choice. Not
you
that
did?
Not that the shilling wouldn't have been
Listen,
tasty.
90 shilling.
90 shilling, good beer.
Fantastic.
It is a good beer. The other day you were texting me, and I thought of this late in the first segment because you said that you had a job cleaning an old folks' home. I don't think that would be the proper phrase.
Is that not what it's called anymore?
Oh, yeah. It's sort of like if you just said that you went to school on the retarded bus.
Oh, easy. It's not that bad.
No, it's not nearly that bad. But also perfectly on purpose and ironically, Joe texted me the other day. We were supposed to get together for a beer, and things didn't work out right, and whatever. I didn't reply. And he didn't think I was going to come or whatever. So he said, sorry for the Indian giver invitation, which,
I only said that because you're an
ironically.
old fart.
And also I am Native American to some degree. But that's an example of something that really gladly should have been eliminated from the lexicon because not only is it just old-timey, not only does it say Indian, but what it implies is that Indians clearly were going to break deals.
It didn't even make any sense.
Oh, no.
Right?
It completely makes sense. It's basically them saying that, you can't trust an Indian to do you a favor.
No, but that doesn't make any sense because they weren't the ones doing the screwing over in the negotiation.
Of course they weren't, but that's, not what the narrative would be for the old Redskins.
Oh. Again, it's 2 in a row you dropped that.
So anyway, that I think when people, this is not going to get me in any kind of good shape. Anybody who says, all this political correctness, they need to be corrected because almost in every case, can some things be overdone? Can people be too sensitive? Yes, they can. But in almost every case, it's something like Indian giver that needed to go.
Yes, but the problem is. Sometimes it is overdone. I'm on the other side of this a little bit. Did you watch the new SNL on Saturday?
I did not. I did not see it.
So Dave Chappelle, amazing, right? The second time he's hosted in like 2 years. And he had hosted right after the last election. And so they had him back for this election.
By the way, how giddy was this Saturday Night Live?
It was pretty giddy. It was almost unbearably giddy. But Chappelle did like a 12-minute stand-up at the beginning, right? And he hasn't had an opportunity to really work it out much.
Right.
Because he's not out on the road, right? And he said a couple of things, and Lorne Michaels was letting him drop the N-word on SNL. They didn't bleep it. Like, it was pretty raunchy. And he said some things that got some groans from the crowd that I just thought were hilarious. Because to me, you give the stand-up comedian carte blanche almost, right? To go as far as you can go, right?
Right, and if you decide, you can always just say, I don't want to watch. You can always, I mean, like, for instance, Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
Is not funny to me, but I understand why somebody thinks
Yeah, I never
think he's
got it
funny,
either.
Think he's funny, but, you know, if you don't like it, don't. He's a comedian.
But they're in the so at one point the crowd groans and he looks over to where you can tell where Lorne Michaels is standing and he says, "Man, Lorne, I thought we were doing a comedy show."
I have a Lorne Michaels story.
Oh, I like this.
We have the great fortune, and so hopefully sometime soon we'll have the great fortune again to have friends who have a condominium right next to Times Square. And it's on 44th Street, I believe.
Now, you've talked about this.
Anyway, 45th Street is Restaurant Row. And there's a restaurant there. I think it's called Uzo or Uno or something like that. Anyway, so we got in late on this. We flew in, probably arrived at the place at 8. My wife dying to have some dinner, so we scramble over there. We sit down, and right across 8 feet from us, Jimmy Fallon and Lorne Michaels.
Oh,
having
really?
dinner. It's only like 10 people in the place.
What year is this?
It's probably about 5 years ago now, maybe a little less.
Okay.
It was at the time when you remember that period where Jimmy Fallon was getting in trouble because he was going out after the taping of the show. And
Yeah,
he was,
getting hurt because he's getting hammered.
Dancing on tables.
Yeah.
So it looked like this was sort of a,
Come to Jesus.
Father-son type of situation with Lorne Michaels and Jimmy. Anyway, the funny thing was, my wife sits against the wall, and I'm sitting with my back towards said, and my wife's super sensitive to this type of stuff. I don't understand. She literally texts me, and the text says, "Don't turn around. Jimmy Fallon and Lorne Michaels are behind you." And so, anyway, they were. So we had our dinner, and in typical New York fashion, I mean, these people who would leave or would come in, and it was later, and it was a quiet night, didn't even say a word.
Yeah.
I mean, just it was, Jimmy Fallon, whatever. And so they left him alone completely.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't ask for an autograph, didn't say, hey, whatever. So anyway, towards the end of dinner, I'm going to go down and take a leak, and so I took a leak next to Lorne Michaels.
Oh.
We were urinal to urinal.
Was there a divider?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No
that's
discussion. Good. We didn't talk.
No.
It makes some people uncomfortable. I know that. So anyway, then it's time to leave, and we decide. My wife says, we really got to say something to Jimmy Fallon, And I said,
oh, is she a Fallon fan?
Yeah, she really likes
Okay.
him. Yeah. And so I said, okay, I'll break the ice. And so I walked by and I said, hey, I don't really want to bother you, and I just want to say we love your work and we appreciate it, and keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Something simple like
Uh-huh.
that. He stands up, extends his hand, and goes, "Thank you, I'm Jimmy." Like we didn't know who he was.
Wow.
Sort of self-effacing.
Yeah.
It was really neat.
Well, he wasn't sarcastic.
No, it was like, thank you so much.
Huh.
Very nice.
How about
Very
that?
Nice. So that's a kind of chance encounter that somebody can, this is another old-timey thing. Do you know the shampoo Head & Shoulders?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Their advertising campaign way back in the day used to be, you only have one chance to make a first impression.
Oh, yeah.
And I always think about that because I have a,
Oh.
certain amount of notoriety.
Totally true.
And you may only meet a person one time.
Yep.
And you can affect their opinion of you forever. And they could talk to 100 people who said,
Yep.
I met that Danny Klingscale.
He's a real dick.
He was a dick. And, my
He was
personality's a little low-key.
He was sitting at the bar with this guy named Joe, and he was just hammered.
Sounded like they were doing a podcast or something. So anyway, there's my Jimmy Fallon story.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's a little bit like the time I ran into Patrick Mahomes at the Yard House. Have I ever told you this story?
No, go ahead.
This is rookie year, or the second year, first year starting,
playing.
Yeah. And it was like the Gold Cup was out there, the U.S. Gold Cup match. And so we were going out there to watch it. So we're at the Yard House, and we're having beers for a couple hours before the game. And our waitress comes up. She was very nice. There'd been banter all night or whatever, and I left her tip, and she came back to say thank you and said, hey, I'm not supposed to tell anybody, but Patrick Mahomes is on the patio. I'm like, oh, we got to check this out, right?
Boy, bad. That's bad waitressing right there.
Terrible waitressing. So I go walking out to the patio, and I'm like, right there's Garrick Dieter.
Right.
Is that how I say it? Garrick
believe.
Dieter.
They finally did cut his ass.
Just big old. I saw him on special teams
Is he
on Sunday.
Is he back on the practice squad?
I thought I saw him on special teams on Sunday.
Well, maybe you did.
Anyway, he's just there with a big old goofy smile on his face, shoving chicken fingers down his gullet. And there's Brittany, right? And Patrick's brother, I forget his name. And then there's this dude with this hair coming out of his hood that's pulled down tight, just shoveling food into his mouth, right? I'm like, well, there's Patty Icicles right there. So I'm like, I'm not going to bother him.
So he was making a kind of a clear attempt to not
be left alone.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave him alone except for this. And so I go walking by. Again, we'd been pre-gaming for about 2 hours. And I go walking by and I go, hey, Patty Icicles. And he looks up from his food and I go, I love you. You made my dreams come true.
Wow.
And then and he looks at me and he gives me a wink and looks back down at his food and I just walked off. Anyway, and then we walked straight over to the stadium. It was, it makes for a hilarious story, but it's totally true.
Wow.
It's one of those things you get up the next day and you're like,
Maybe not. Maybe a different choice of words. Maybe not just, I really enjoy your work. What was he?
Needless to say, he didn't stand up and extend his hand for a handshake.
What was he eating?
He was having like pasta, I believe.
Oh, so it was. There's a guy on. I listen to a variety of satellite radio channels and regular radio. I'm still a fan of 810, and amazingly, and of course I'm on there and love it twice a week. But anyway, there's a golf show that I really enjoy.
Okay.
And the host, there are two hosts. One is a former PGA Tour player. His name's John McGinnis, and the other is Brian Katrick, who does a lot of the extra television that you may see if you're a real big golf fan, like live and stuff like that.
Okay.
He's very good, very talented broadcaster. But my opinion of him is a little bit jaded because he eats crappy food and talks about it all the time. Like he likes Arby's. He likes KFC.
Yeah. Delicious.
And Patrick Mahomes puts ketchup on everything. These things shouldn't bother me. I shouldn't have a negative opinion. I don't really have a negative opinion of Patrick Mahomes because of it. I have a negative opinion of that behavior.
Yeah.
But somebody who just would prefer to eat Kentucky Fried Chicken and Arby's, I'm like, huh?
Hey, first of all, Arby's, they have the meats, okay?
Is that meat?
It's fresh sliced meat. I like me some Arby's.
Would you say that the Arby's would it rise above Buddig level?
Oh, the roast beef at Arby's?
Yeah.
I don't eat the roast beef at Arby's. I eat the turkey.
Either,
I eat the turkey at Arby's, which is delicious.
Okay, the question remains the same. I don't even know if does Buddig make turkey?
I'm sure they do, but it rises far above that. It's obviously
Really?
fresh. Yes, you just give it a try. But the roast beef, I get it. Is it Buddig or Budig?
I don't know. I don't care. I think it's Buddig. I think the meat is Buddig, and Budig is the former chancellor of the University of Kansas.
Budig, yeah, former, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Nobody really cares who the chancellor is anyway. They should.
Hey, listen, Arby's is a guilty pleasure of mine.
So you do like Arby's?
I do. I like me some Arby's.
So the joke was that
They got rid of my Arby's over here in Prairie Village. It was the only fast food we had in Perfect Village. They got rid of it. They're putting in a taco joint. It's like, come on. I wish I loved tacos. And listen, Danny, I love
you
me.
don't like tacos.
I love tacos.
Oh, okay.
I love me some fine food, right? And I love me some authentic,
Restaurant quality.
yeah, just like authentic, real ethnic food, right? Indian food, real street tacos, etc. But, sometimes I want a quarter pounder with cheese.
I still, my wife sometimes when we talk about the, largeness of Americans, she will start to go into this thing about, how they raise the cattle and the hormones and all that stuff. And I'm like, Okay, yeah. That's about an 8% excuse. But the real excuse is portions.
Yep.
Portions. When the Quarter Pounder came out, this was like,
This thing is a monster.
how can anybody even eat that? Because a regular McDonald's patty.
Oh, yeah,
was
4 ounces.
4
ounces.
Tiny. Is it 4 ounces?
Yeah.
It doesn't even seem like it's that. But anyway, so I thought 4 ounces was a quarter of a pound.
No, 4 ounces isn't a quarter pound, is it?
I thought it was.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking about how many ounces the quarter pounder is.
Anyway,
We'll have to fact check
when
that.
the Quarter Pounder, yeah, that's a good one. When the Quarter Pounder came out, it's like, oh my God. Well, now if you serve somebody a Quarter Pounder like in a restaurant, they go, oh, where's the rest of the meat?
Yeah.
I mean, there'll be like 3 of those patties on something.
Yeah, and that's too much hamburger for me. You know, I
don't eat hamburgers, but I mean, just to look at them, it's like.
Look, I make smash burgers at home. I make them on the cast iron skillet. You smash them down, cook them like a steak burger.
So
And
the smash burger, is that is that sort of like, is that different than like the Brahms thing, the crumbly burger?
it's Brahms Brahms is not loose meat. Are you talking about loose meat? I tell you, the best loose meat sandwich in the area. You go downtown in Leavenworth. They got a New Way down there. You ever had a New Way sandwich?
No. Well, I don't.
In New Way, New Way.
Eat red meat, buddy. You're talking to the wrong
Should
guy.
make an exception for a New Way. Speaking of not eating red meat,
So what is? This is going to go on. We're going to have to cut this off. So what? How do you what is the description of what people love about the Brahms?
oh, Brahms. See,
Yeah,
Brahms is
what
from my
that thing?
neck
What
of the
is
woods.
That thing they make?
What do you mean that thing they make?
It's not a hamburger.
Cheeseburgers.
No, it's like loose. It is like crumbly.
That's not Brahms.
Yeah, it is.
No.
I used to go there with John Doolittle on trips to Kansas basketball games.
I used to grow. A friend of mine in high school worked at Brahms.
But the Brahms thing you get, it's not a patty.
Yes, it is.
Not the one I saw. Did they change or something?
No,
We'd have to get off the road. I'm like, there's a Brahms over there. I'm like, I don't want to go there.
it's just a regular burger, bro. I'm serious.
You need to fact. That's a fact
I will
check
fact
right
check
there.
the crap
I
out
thought
of
they
it.
had a loose meat.
That's like my honeymoon. Okay, so
Anyway, you were moving on. But
I was moving on.
I thought you
No, I got an idea here. You know, last time you talked about basketball jerseys being douchey.
Yes.
A douchey look, right?
It just not
for the
just
player,
playing,
but
no,
yeah.
Players look good.
I want to know some more things that are on your list. Douchey. Now, this goes for behavior, looks,
You're really putting me on the
tattoos.
spot.
I can give you
tattoos
some.
I've just gotten so used to that it's not, I just wonder down the line. I am surprised that the tattoo has not gone away.
Really?
I figured like most things.
How many tattoos do you have?
I have 0, and I never even considered having a tattoo.
Yeah, me too.
And I figured that, the tattoo's been a thing for a long time now.
Do you say tattoo or tattoo?
Tattoo. Tattoo? Nobody says that.
Yes. Some people say tattoo. You've never heard somebody say tattoo?
No, never. Not once.
Really?
Is it is that douchey?
I think it's just different. One of my favorite podcast stuff, you should know, one of the guys says tattoo. He catches crap for it.
Well, he should.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think he should.
Look, Affliction T-shirts. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I've seen
And jeans with the jewels on the pockets and the embroidery and all that.
I'm not probably a fan of that.
Hard douche move.
I guess and this is a thing that passed also that I never understood was the thing with guys' hair where it was kind of messy with a little gel. I never quite understood how they decided.
The proper amount of mess.
When they stood in front of the mirror, ready to head out for the day or the evening, how they decided what the mess was, what the good mess was. That was to me a little douchey. Oh, a very short period of time. Remember the shirt out of the sweater?
Oh yes, absolutely. I was guilty of that for sure. The long sleeve shirt out the bottom of the sweater.
Yeah. I didn't. Now that didn't last very long.
No.
Was that maybe a 1-year thing?
I have a picture from our good friends that are coming down on Friday's wedding where I'm in that outfit. And yeah, well, I wasn't in their wedding. I was at their wedding. Yeah. My wife actually officiated their ceremony.
Wow.
She got
that one wasn't for me. I'll say that. But there's a million things through the years, but some of them have been accepted. You know, how many times have we switched from I think I told a story on one of these
socks and sandals.
I mean, I did, but socks and sandals has alternately
that was like our second episode. I think
okay, and another time not okay. And
well, you know, I wear these soccer style pants that are like sweatpants, but they're skinny at the ankle.
Right.
They're skinny sweats. Is what they're
right.
what they're called. And so when I was in high school, these would have been extremely douchey.
Well, I'll give you this. I don't even know I think this may have passed by now, too. Maybe not. Maybe I'm out of touch. The dress pant that what we would have called
high waters. Yeah.
Because you had the fancy socks and, you have has that gone now?
I'm not in enough to know, but I think it has some.
That to me was always a little odd, but I think it was in part created by the fact that you were investing in these lovely socks.
I got a drawer full of them, buddy.
People see them. But that was a thing that was at one point in time.
It wasn't that long ago.
You would have been considered. Yeah. No, I mean, I think that may still be there. But, I mean, you would have been considered a complete nerd for having your pants.
Oh, yeah, high water. Flood coming, buddy? What's going on?
Right, what's going on? Well, the flood ain't coming, but we're going. We got a few fact checks, too. Did you scribble those down?
No, we'll worry about that later.
Oh, yeah. He listens back. I don't listen back much to my own material. I heard it the first time.
You know, one of us has to.
Joe is diligent.
I am dedicated to my craft.
He is dedicated to his craft, and as I have another craft beer, I say, but I don't know if this is going to just not a can. Oh, here we go. We got a glass to do it. Here we go. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com, specializing in expert healthcare guidance and assistance for you.